Hi guys, welcome again. This time with something different. I will present to you something I've been working quite a while, but I wasn't sure just if I'm right. And I think I'm quite right here. I'm not going to say that this is definitive, that it doesn't change in the future, but I'm pretty confident about my choices and I will explain them quickly. This is tier list for 4 players. And what's important is that it's for 4 players, not 3 players, 4 players. That's the huge distinction. It carries more weight towards 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th players. But first and foremost, this is for 4 players. So, tier list is basically how good a wonder is. In 7 Wonders, you can do tier list for cards, maybe strategies, and of course, wonders. When I play in real life, I usually hand 2 or 3 boards to each player and let them choose one and also decide. I have enough wonders that I can, in 4 players, I can give 3. I have also some custom wonders, but let's not get into that. This is also for base-ish game. Basically, it's for the base game, but as you can see, I included 2 wonders from the cities expansion. I usually use them with the base game, even when I'm not using cities. But I will talk about that more when I get to it. So here we have 3 tiers. We have tier 1.5. I didn't want to call it tier 1 just because this is not much different. Like 7 Wonders is very balanced. In the base game, in 4-player, I'm only sad when I get Giza. Like I played a lot of 4-player games lately in Arena, and I'm really only sad when I get Giza. Everything else is fine. Like I really like these, obviously. I like Colossus, I like Olympia, I like Alex. I'm not that keen on Alexandria, but I like Alexandria. I like Babylon. But when I get Giza, I'm quite sad. But that's the only wonder I'm sad. And it still produces some wins and a lot of second places, so it's not that bad, really. But it's just, maybe that's my playstyle. I've seen a lot of lists that claim that Giza is the best, even AA beside, but I think those people are crazy. But maybe they're right and I'm wrong. I'm just going to present you my arguments for it. So, first, Halicarnassus. And of course, like Halicarnassus is slightly better than Ephesus on this list. This is from left to right. But it's not by much. If they're in the same tier, it's really like preference and stuff. I like both of them. I'm going to like there are 2 choices. Like you can go resource heavy strategy with red in 4 players, or you can go green. That's usually like the 2 main angles that you will tackle. Because red gives you a lot of points for not a lot of cards usually, because people don't want to build red just because they will be wasting cards, and because of how the 4-player is structured. When, like, let's say North and South wins, and they build a lot of military, the East and West players don't really gain much, like by building military and catching up. So it's usually not beneficial, so you can get a lot of points that way for not a lot of cards, and get a lead into 3rd age where you just get points kind of for free. So that's very good. So both of these wonders can do both of these strategies really well. Green is green is great for Halicarnassus, especially just because you can build from this card, so you can do some tricks with it. For Ephesus, you don't need a lot of resources for your wonder, so you can go green and still build your wonder, which is very rare in green strategies. So that's great, and also they can play resources. Halicarnassus can play the Haven game, like a lot of resources. It naturally has cloth. It can just do all the things with red. Also, you can build from the discard, surprise red, stuff like that. A lot of possibilities. Probably my favorite wonder to play. Also, always happy to see it. Ephesus, very good. very low resource costs for wonders is doing wonders. And also here you can see which side you should I will choose. Like I will always choose B. I will always choose B here as well. They're just much better. A sides. A side for this is pretty okay. A side for Halicarnassus, I think it would be below Giza. Even it's just that bad. Moving on to the tier 2, which is not much stronger. I had initially Colossus in tier A, in tier 1.5 here, but lately I've seen like Colossus has troubles. And I encourage you to play B. It's better. B stands for better. The 4 gold costs on the second stage and the last stage on side B, and also on the last stage of side A is just so prohibitive. If you don't get Caravanserai, which is very rare for a 4-player game, the rarest I would say it's to get Caravanserai in 4-player game. You really can struggle. There's just a lot of problems. You just need so much resources to just start building. In the first age, you're usually forced to throw away something. When people next to you decide that they want to fight you on red, you are just in so much trouble. And even if they don't, and they just steal your blues and stuff that give you points, then you are just building resources and then you have nothing to do. Also the 2 stages, they're nice because they're efficient, and yeah, but also you sometimes don't have a pick to do and you end up throwing cards and stuff like that. So I think Colossus is very powerful. You should be scared of him. I hate sitting next to a Colossus, but lately I'm just not feeling like whenever I get a Colossus, I'm not that happy. Like I was thinking how to make this list. If I should do heavy research, and I did. I'm not going to show you because there's like a lot of Excel files and a lot of analysis, and I did. But also like how happy I am to see the wonder, because I've played so much game that my intuition is like helping me here. So I'm not that happy. I still think like Colossus, that's fine. But usually I've been getting a lot of 3rd places even with Colossus. So that's something really, really bad. Then we move next to Olympia. Olympia has amazing side B, unless when you see that the last stage is kind of random with the copying guild. You sometimes can get a lot of points, like 9 or 10 even, from copying the Wonders Guild, but sometimes you just get like 3 or 4 or even 2, and that's really bad. So, but the first 2 stages are amazing. Like best in the game, I would say. 5 points and the double trading post. That's really amazing. Olympia is very flexible. You can also play A if you think that your opponents won't build many. If you just, I would play A if you want heavy resource strat. You want to build a lot of brown cards. Then I would go A. These 3, I would say, can like interchange within this tier. I can see like an argument being for Olympia being here. And I can see an argument for like Giza not Giza. Alexandria should be like the first. I know like let's finish with Olympia. I think B sides is stronger. That's why A is not. This is capital. This is not capital. A is fine, but like the second stage is really weak. But I really like this wonder. I've seen a lot of wins with this, a lot of surprise wins, just because of how copying guilds work. On tabletop, where you don't see the score, you can see even more wins, because Olympia is like tricky. It doesn't have anything until you just see that it has 65 points and you have nothing to catch up to it. So yeah. It's also like a pretty interesting wonder to play. You can do a lot of stuff. Starting wood helps. Wood is a great resource for the start. getting back a little, these have gray resource. This has Colossus has ore, which gives you access to one of the cards for red. The same for Olympia. These have like there is one of red and one of ore and 2 offs of red in clay. So these are naturally good also to go for red. Very, very, very nice. Alexandria, the last wonder with the gray resource, with the battle, as you can see, it's really kind of good to have a gray resource, as you can see. It's an advantage, I would say, over a gray resource. I would play B. If you've seen my videos, I sometimes play A when I know I will go for the green strat. But it's situational. You should almost always, like, the rule of thumb should be go B, maybe sometimes go A, but usually go B. Very good wonder, but has problems scoring points sometimes. When you are sitting like next to a Colossus, for example, and Olympia, let's just say that, and they go red, and you're just like, they're really sad that you didn't go green because you're like vis-a-vis opponent took some green, and you just end up last because you have nothing to score points. You have a lot of resources, but no one really cares. There is not a problem with resources in 4-player games, so it's not like you will be getting great picks just because you can build and no one else can. It won't happen in 4-player. Sometimes you will just get these games where you have to guess which strategy you need to do in order to survive, and sometimes you will guess wrong. And that's why I don't love Alexandria. It's much better with expansions. Like, for the base game, it's here. With the expansions, it might be here. But this is for base-ish game. So, no expansions, Alexandria, not that great. And last in the tier 2, Babylon. It has a lot of possibilities, like double card play is sometimes very good. The resources on the wonder are not very prohibitive. You can work it out. The green science symbol, it can give you a lot of points, and it usually is not a challenge to at least get some points from it. You can just do a lot with it, but it's just not that strong compared to others. Like you have to work for it, and sometimes people can just hate you and block you. But if you are competent with Babylon and many intricacies that it can do, you can also go red and ignore green totally. So I really like playing it, and I always welcome the challenge. And I think it belongs like at the end of tier 2. It's not just the best, but you can do a lot. Like experienced player can do a lot. This is the hardest wonder to learn, I would say. Sometimes you will get easy games, but for the hard games, you need to like let go. Sometimes you need to pay when it really looks like you don't have to pay. So really hard wonder, but the one I'm always looking forward to playing. And then let's just talk about Giza, why it's last. I don't love any of the stages. A or B is fine. I usually play A, that's why I said A or B, but both are capital letters. A side, pretty okay. You need 2 stone, then 3 wood, then 4 stone, and that's what I hate. I hate wonders with 4 of 1 resource, basically. That's why I don't love Colossus. If Colossus has like 3 ore and 1 wood and 1 clay, it's much better then. Like even if you add resource, just change 1 of the ores to 2 of the others, it's much better. I just hate wonders with 4 stages of the same item. And I hate them also for expansions. So yeah. Not really loving the stages. Giza for stage 4 of her 4 stages for B side has 4 stone and a papyrus. That's just crazy. Of course you build it, but you have to sacrifice so much. You have to like sacrifice good pick in round 1 and round 2 just because you need to get these resources, and people jump out on you on red, and you just like sad and you don't get points. And if there were two yellow cards that get money and points for stages, Giza would be much better. But there is only one card that does it, and therefore you cannot plan for the B side. You just like, people will steal that card from you sometimes. You don't have much to play for basically, so you're just like doing worse than everybody else. Also, stone, I would say the weakest resource. For the first stage, it only gives you 3 points buffs that transfer to 5 points aqueduct. And for Giza, when you want to build stone anyway, that 3 point buffs is not much better than the 3 point, I don't know, pawn shop it's called, I think. That doesn't require resource, so basically you're just like, you kind of maybe inclined to go blue, but blue is not really a strat. Like, blue is just the support that you will get a lot of points, but that's not like what you should focus on. And yeah, I'm just not loving Giza by any shape. I'm, as I said, I'm always sad when I get Giza. I think it should be buffed. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think Giza A and Giza B should be buffed. Giza B is very fine in team game, but that's that's the nice thing I can say about it. So what should you do when you get Giza? I would say go A and try to go red or green. Just like all in one of those things and roll with it. And I think you should get at least second with a competitive play, or third. So that's not that bad. Another nice thing about Giza is that you can usually escape last place, which cannot be said about, for example, Alexandria or Babylon. Or even Colossus. Sometimes you can get last place if it gets blocked on ore, and a lot of stuff other. Okay, so enough about this. For the base game, I would say this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think the biggest gap is here. 6 and 7. Still, I'm really not in love with Giza lately, but that might change. Maybe I discovered something. I will, of course, make a video about it if I do. So I used to think Babylon is really, really weak, but then I just like got the way of the Babylon. So maybe it will happen for Giza too. Lastly, let's get into both of these. First, how I play them when I play them in the base game. For diplomacy, for Byzantium, I will just use the diplomacy rules. I just use the diplomacy tokens for Byzantium, and that's it. It makes for a fun dynamic. I really recommend it. If you play even without the cities, just use this. It's like some rules, but not that much. Just remember that you cannot fight one person twice, but it doesn't happen in 4-player games anyway, so you don't have to remember that. For the A side, for the Petra, okay, let's look at the sides. I think I have them here. Okay, so here are the sides. Here there is a coin loss. So without the cities, coin loss is treated as you lose coins. If you don't, you don't get that tokens. So that's of course a little weaker, but that's how I play, and that's how you should play. I believe it's also recommended with Armada. So here I'm browsing BGG, some review that posted the pictures. So for Byzantium, I would recommend B, just because this side, it's playable, but not amazing. The main thing holding it back, I think it's also the stone, as in Giza. But the research stages are not that prohibitive. I would like here you just need one of everything, except you need 2 ore and you need 1 of each. that's a little hard to build early, so that's like the disadvantage of Colossus. But you can really ignore red, and your opponents will also kind of ignore red, so that's really good. But it's not the best. I would say like this is not the best. Here you can do this in the first stage, but then you like this is weirder. I would say it's still you don't need that much resource, but it's weirder. You have some points, but like this, when you are going this in the first era, you're kind of going for red, but you don't want to go red because of this. You can do something like go for red early, like win in the second stage by like a skin of your teeth or something, and then for the third round, when people will actually overthrow you on red, just build this. But that's just not enough, I think. Like this wonder is just worse than the others. And Petra, this side is crazy. 14 gold is way too much. It's really hard to get it to 14 golds, especially when people know that they don't want to pay you. So really crazy. And if you think about it, it's like 9 points, right? So like 12 points. Let's say that this is 12. So this is like 13 points on 2 stages, which is really good. But when you think about it, it's really hard to get, and you will need a lot of stuff to sacrifice. Like this is crazy for a first stage, and this is crazy as well. But this side is very playable. You have clay, which is nice. You can build red really easy with it. You only need like 2 stone, 1 wood. Like this stage has everything that this stage needs. So you just need these resources, and you can build all the way. 7 gold, on the other hand, is much easier to build. So you don't need that much. You can play a lot of different strategies. And when I look at it, I think actually that I messed up. Yeah, I messed up. They should be the other way, but I'm not going to correct it right now. Petra is better, basically, than Giza. I think a little. But like they're really close for me, but they're not that great. So I usually throw them just so, for example, when I play with less experienced players, I can get a challenge for playing Petra or something. And maybe when they played some base game and haven't seen these, they can just play them for a new challenge as well. So that will be it for this video. I hoped it would be shorter, but you know, I just like to talk about some others. I plan to do a list for 3 players, but only after playing a lot in the next season of Arena, on Board Game Arena. For now, I don't think I know enough about 3 players to do it. So hopefully you enjoyed it. See you later. Bye.